You're just gonna jizz in me and then that's it?
Got my balls to my butthole, yeah. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a dump, 'cause now my balls are blocking up my butthole. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Good God, I pulled too hard, now my scrotum's stretched out like a fucking yard. Oh God, I do my balls to my butthole, baby. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a dump, 'cause now my balls are blocking up my butthole. My lady doesn't want a life of watching her man use a butter knife, face down, ass up, try and saw.
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. Today I'd like to take you on a little trip down memory lane. Going back about 8 or 9 years ago now, from the very first time I introduced you to Jason Overall of Larevo Knives. Today, we get to take a look at where he stands, to see where his skill level is at, to see where his design language is at, and give you an idea of what's going on in his life. And that is going to be done with this. Oh. Yes, I am very excited about holding this knife because outside of Jason's shop, nobody else has. But you will actually have the opportunity, if this is the kind of knife that gets you going, you'll actually be able to purchase this knife because it is actually available. So here are the specs on the knife. Normally I don't get to that till much later, but what you can do is pause this and read through it. Overall length of 7.6 inches, close length of 4.6 inches. And the Damascus steel blade is 3.2 inches. Now, the materials that's being used, that will be your certificate of authenticity, by the way. And his business card right here. Don't bother messing with the website. He hasn't updated it for a while. You want to contact him through his Instagram, he says, is the easiest way. So you can pause that, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. We're going to get into the knife. The materials are what really make this knife incredibly special. That rich dark brown right there, let's give you a nice close-up here. That is so beautifully polished, beautifully hand-finished, and made it up to the corresponding material. That is vintage chocolate paper micarta. Now, you guys know I despise micarta, but that generally it's, rag micarta, denim micarta, not denim. Yeah, there's micarta made of denim. Anything it's kind of like that real fabric-y feel to it that looks raggedy and it's dyed and the dye looks terrible. I can't stand it. What I do like is stuff like this. Vintage Westinghouse, getting into maybe black linen micarta, anything that can be hand sanded very, very smooth and uniform, and even better if it could be polished like this. So he has hand sanded this to a ridiculous degree and then buffed and polished it, which makes it really, really dressy. But look at the depth and the richness of the color. It's incredible. And that mates up to black Damascus. For those unaware, black Damascus is your standard Damascus, which is a titanium Damascus for those that are newer to this. And infused within all of those layers of titanium will also be zirconium. You see that black that's in there? That is all zirconium. So it's not only extraordinarily expensive to work with, but it's also very, very dangerous. And I've discussed this pretty much every time that I've had anything made of zirconium or black Damascus on my channel, is the fact that the stuff heats up hotter than titanium does when it's being ground, and it throws sparks forever that are super hot, and they stay lit longer than titanium or steel shavings, and it's a huge hazard in the shop, especially when those hot embers land in a pile of that ground zirconium or any of the ground titanium or anything else that may be flammable around there, and it can really light up, man. It is crazy, crazy stuff. So it's very dangerous to work with, very difficult to work with, and to get this level of finish took a long, long time. Let me zoom back out so you can get a good look at that, and just kind of soak it in overall, to see the overall shape and size of the knife. And look at how aggressive this is. This is a wicked, wicked, wild Wharncliffe. And one of the things that he wanted to achieve is to match up the aggressive angles of the blade into this bolster. Now, you'll notice this is a very long trailing bolster. Very, very uncommon. That is not the type of bolster work that you typically see. And he says one of the most difficult parts about that he didn't realize until he went to go this severe, is the fact that when you get, I'm going to try to get this to focus. There we go. When you get Damascus this thin, when you go to hit it with the blowtorch to bring all these colors out, that it can warp really, really easily, and it can just burn up at the thinner portions and be completely ruined. So for such an expensive raw material to take such a big risk with it, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he probably had to remake these bolsters at least once as he was learning those issues. Another interesting bit of detail here is the backspacer. These are two different pieces of black Damascus that he has sandwiched together, and he has butted up these beveled edges so that they come together as one piece. And I really had to stare at this backspacer for quite a long time. And when I was photographing, it gave me the best chance because I was able to look right here, and that was where it told me. It looked like it was just one piece of black Damascus that he then probably milled this groove through. And that wouldn't have been too wild and crazy. But yeah, no, that's not what it is. It's two different pieces that he has mated up together and finished perfectly to give you that gorgeous look. Pocket clip is also going to be black Damascus. And for me, I think, aside from this beautiful, rich, dark chocolate,
To give a big round of applause to my band, Sexual Chocolate.
micarta, I think my other favorite part of this knife has to be right here in the pivot area. What you're looking at here is I forgot to ask. You know what? I'm going to double check on the COA because maybe it's listed. Okay, it is. It's a zirconium pivot. I wasn't sure if he had used a zirconium pivot or he had blackened a titanium pivot. So I like the contrast here of the black, the Damasteel, and then the black Damascus. I love this look. And while normally I prefer a flat face pivot, I really, really like the fact that he's using this tri-wing pivot right here. I believe this is a tie connector Steve Kelly pivot. I'm not entirely certain. I could be wrong. But I love the fact that it comes up like sort of like this bridge from this circle of Damasteel, I should say, all the way out into the black Damascus. I'm almost forgetting my words because I'm so impressed. And then, like, the details don't stop. He then takes the titanium hardware and then blues that as well to match up with the blue titanium liners. I mean, he has thought of every teeny tiny detail on this knife. Now, I want to kind of back away from the materials here because I don't want this to sound like it's just an amazing knife because he used very expensive and very difficult to finish materials. because I think overall the execution of this knife is fantastic. As you see, I'm having a hard time getting it lit properly with my studio lighting here because everything is shiny and reflective. He has polished every fucking surface of this knife. It's insane. Now, still my particular favorite way of finishing Damasteel is by polishing it, which he's done here. It's got a nice polish on it. And he's etched it really, really well. For those that don't know anything about Damascus, etching doesn't mean it's been laser etched. The term etching is what you do is you take the Damascus and it gets etched, it gets dunked into acid. And the acid eats away one or more of the underlying layers of steel to give you this incredible pattern. So it does two things, and he's using two different kinds of acid right here. And what he's doing is he's getting the etch that gives you the contrast, that black and silver, and also it's eating away enough of it that you can actually feel the pattern. And there are different schools of thought when it comes to finishing Damasteel. Some makers like to leave it completely glass smooth, and the etch is only done to show the contrast in the pattern. And some, Brian Ty is legendary for this, and he is one of the most legendary makers that has used Damasteel. He likes to have a little bit of topography, and that's what Jason chose to do here. So you not only see the pattern, but you can feel it too. And it's really, really done well. You'll see novice makers that try to work with Damasteel, and what they end up with are swirls of different shades of gray, like a dark gray and a light gray, because it's not the easiest to work with. And I don't want to make this sound impossible. It's actually not terribly difficult to work with, but if you don't know the proper procedure, the majority of it is your prep work and how you're polishing it beforehand and your aftercare immediately after etching and neutralizing it. And if you don't know the right steps, you get that kind of muddy gray look. To get this perfect bright silver against a pitch black instead of gray means he knows what the hell he's doing and he's executing it properly. And for taking the additional time to do that, it's worth whatever it is that he's charging for this. And unfortunately, I do not know. I could make guesses, but I could be wrong. And I don't want to guess too low or too high because that's not fair to him or to you if you're interested in this masterpiece. Now, the Vertex here is only his fourth prototype for this particular model, and the COA is marked prototype number 4. And I think that he has nailed it. It's a really, really good size. You've got a small and very easily carryable knife, yet it's still a good full-size handle. I've got a really, really solid grip on this, and I wear a large, sometimes extra large motorcycle glove. So I've got a really good grip on this. I like how that feels. If I were to change one thing, it would be for practicality's sake, which this is not meant to be one of his practical designs anyway, and you can look at it and see that. But this choil here, while this is going to be awesome for many, many years of being able to resharpen it without running out of material, you cannot make the mistake of thinking that this is a finger choil. This is going to slice right through you down to the bone. The heel of the edge is extraordinarily sharp, and it comes to a very sharp point, and it is pokey and sticky, and it will hurt you, I promise you. But again, that is my practical mind trying to make something out of this that it's not. This is not meant to be a practical knife. This is your Sunday carry, or this is your office carry. This is your elegant, dressy, show-off knife. And I love the fact that he didn't use materials that are overused in the industry right now. Going into this chocolate brown micarta was a fantastic choice. Taking the brown against all of these blues and magentas looks amazing. Now, as far as the action goes, it is running on skiff bearings. The tension on this liner lock is absolutely dialed in perfectly, as is the detent. Now, what's tricky about the detent on a knife like this is you've got a small, thin, lightweight blade that you want it to flip like a rocket. You want it to go pa-cha, or maybe ka-chow. But then you've got this huge blade window here for somebody that may want to reverse flick. So you've got to have the perfectly tuned detent for a stronger retention and snappy action as you load up on the flipper tab, but not be so strong and overbearing that you can't flick it out with your middle finger or flick it out with your thumb. Or, watch this, this is the hardest part, so that you can slow roll it and not have the blade kind of pop out when you break the detent, where your thumb then follows and then hits the edge and slices you open. This was brilliantly executed. So I love the overall design. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous and aggressive all at the same time. It still maintains his degree of ergonomics, where it's super comfortable and everything is very, very soft on the outer perimeters in the hand. Yet it still maintains its shape very, very well. And it's got that killer action. Now, a little remedial history here for those that don't remember back to my original review. Jason began as an enthusiast, a lover of knives that began back with his father. His father was collecting knives and even had some custom Randall-made knives as well. And like many of us, he watched his dad bust his ass to provide for his family, dredging along at a job that wasn't altogether completely fulfilling, just to make a life for everyone in his family. So when Jason had the opportunity to, he decided to take that big step, walk away from a comfortable career so that he wasn't doing what his dad did, and he started working in something that he had a particular interest in that he would enjoy and make a go at it, and that was knife making. So he took his love of knives and said, you know what, I'm going to do something even better than what my own dad did, because he watched his dad go all the way to retirement, and unfortunately he passed away very shortly after retiring. So his entire life was spent working and not really loving everything that he did for that work, but he did it lovingly for his family. So Jason said, you know what? I have an interest. I have something that I love, and I think I can turn it into a career. I'm just going to go for it. And the rest is history. Everything he does is old school handmade. No smart technology. That means no CNC, no water jet, nothing. Cutting that shit with a bandsaw and grinding away on his grinders. And it's very evident here, his finishing is done by hand. So the man is sitting down with files and sandpaper and working his fingers till the joints don't want to work anymore. And you're sore and swollen and your neck hurts from that entire day of hand rubbing stuff. That's the work that he's putting into this. Now, that doesn't take away, honestly, from so many great makers that are very skilled with their CNCs and things like that, because they still have to put a lot of work into their knives as well. And people have that misconception that if somebody owns a CNC, that they're not a real knife maker and they're not doing as much handwork as a real knife maker. But they are. But when you can walk into somebody's shop and see nothing but hand-operated machinery, stuff that's just simply plugged into the wall, and the controller is you and not a computer, everything's slower, everything's more methodical, everything is more challenging and difficult. And that also reduces your output, which reduces your capacity to earn money. I mean, think about this. If you're able to pump out 40, 50 knives in a month because some portion of your process is automated, even if that's just your bolsters, that you're able to cut all your bolsters on a CNC and profile all your blades on a CNC. You're still doing everything else by hand, just like he is, but that is speeding up the process. Someone like Jason, he told me he can output about 60 knives a year. That's it. So if you get on his books, you get on the list to have a custom made by him, you're one of very few people each year that are able to do so. And leading into that, his books are open, by the way. You can place an order for several of his models right now, including the Vertex. I did confirm that with him. The Vertex will be among the knives that you're able to order. And he loves working with wild, crazy materials. Anything that you two can dream up together. And you're like, man, I've got, I don't know, Ben Franklin's toilet paper. It's fossilized, and I want to use that for the scales. And please don't do weird shit like that. I've seen people do it, and I've had people even do it with me. No, don't do ridiculous shit like that. Use known materials, please. But he's willing to work with anything that's a good quality material. And if you look at this knife and go, man, I really love this knife, but I'm a big giant monster and I've got big bear claws and I think this is going to get lost in my hands, will Jason make this same knife but a little bit larger? Yes, he will. He is the true definition of a custom maker. There are many, actually the majority of custom makers will not change up the size of their patterns because they have everything measured out, everything is set up, and they make templates of everything. Even guys like me who only make fixed blades. I learned the hard way. You better make a template if you want to make consistent knives that are the same size from person to person. And it's difficult, especially in a folder, to say, hey, yeah, I want to go double size, because now you've got to maintain the proportions so it doesn't look goofy. You're not just going to make it longer, but keep the same height and the same thickness. You want everything to be proportional so it looks well balanced. So it's a lot of work. And now you're re-engineering this triangle of death here, the pivot, the detent, and the lock, and how these things interface with each other. It's it's a very delicate balance, and it's got to be done just right. And he's one of the few guys that will stop and go, yeah, I'll size it up or size it down for you. And even though I haven't asked him, I'm pretty sure if you were a lefty and you said, hey, I really like that Vertex that I saw, would you make that in a lefty? I can almost guarantee you that he will. Jason, please don't yell at me if you won't. Just tell each customer that my dumbass just sent over to you that you can't do that and that I didn't know that. Anyway, that's my review of the Vertex prototype number 4. Like I said, this was exciting for me because I really like Jason. I respect him as a person and as a maker. And to have watched him grow over these years is amazing. He overcame the initial rough spots, the hardest part, which is designing knives that work well, plus look good, plus feel good in the hand. And I remember the key thing about the Kiba that I had reviewed way back then was the ergos. And the fact that he had so painstakingly rounded off all of the perimeter edges so that it just melted into your hand. Now, while it felt good, I did get a lot of feedback from people that they kind of felt like it didn't quite have a clearly defined shape to it because everything was so rounded and smoothed. Well, he has perfected that. This has a wonderfully defined and aggressive shape to it, yet it's still incredibly comfortable in the hand. I love everything about this knife. He has done exceptional work, and I can tell you, I would absolutely buy this myself. But whoever gets this is going to be very, very lucky. So again, let me make that very, very clear. This prototype is actually available. He sent it to me because I had reached out to him a few weeks before he finished this. And I said, man, all the stuff you've been showing on Instagram has just been banging. It's been kicking ass. And I think the work is gorgeous. Do you have anything that maybe somebody's just bought that they would allow me to review on its way, you know, from you to them? I could snag it for a few days and check it out. And he's like, yes and no. He goes, but I'm working on something that I think you would really appreciate. And he knows I'm a sucker for really gorgeous materials that photograph well. And yeah, I had my fun photographing it. Hope you guys enjoyed those pictures. And boy, did I have fun playing with it as well. So this will be shipping directly from me to whomever it is that decides they want it. Again, obviously, you get the knife, you get the certificate of authenticity, as well as the padded zippered case that it will come in. And that'll be all yours. Aside from that, however, you can place an order with Jason directly through his Instagram. Pick out your favorite model, pick out some kick-ass materials, and get it going. All right, guys, that's enough for me for right now. I'll see you on the next video.